Thanks again, Max. That was great. Love what our team's doing, tokenizing real-world assets, bridging digital with the physical. And with that, we do have another panel right after this, and then we're done for the day. We're done for the week in terms of talks and panels. Thank you all so much for coming out, for being a part of this. But it's not over yet. We do have another night of fun, excitement. I don't know if you guys made it out to the event last night at the Fortress, but it was pretty nuts. If you didn't, you definitely missed out. They even had a little Tesla coil in the, I don't know if you know what that is, but had this little lightning coming out. It was like, bzz, 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 and then the beats were like, bzz, bzz, and then it was like, everyone was like, woo, and then, yeah, it was a good time. Great view, great sunset. The Fortress was incredible. Yeah, it was just one of a kind. They really pulled out all the stops for this event. And looking forward to the next events, Istanbul later this year, BlockDown 2023. Maybe be back here again. I'm not sure yet. I'm not planning it. So, but yeah, looking forward to it. I know I'll be coming back for sure. I love it out here, and some great people. It's been a great week. With this, we're going to have a panel on evolution of the metaverse and what that means for brands. So, bringing brands in from the traditional space. How do you advertise in the metaverse? How do you interact with it? Can you bring fashion in the metaverse? Bring NFTs in the metaverse. A lot of different ways. Obviously, as the space is evolving, as the metaverse is becoming more and more real and interactive and engaging, there's just so much potential with it. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to this panel, and I'll see you guys later today. Hopefully, partying with a good amount of you. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Ashton with Zebu Digital. I also plan events, Web3 events, mainly in London, but all around the world, and just super excited to be on the stage with you all, and I'm glad BlockDown gave me the opportunity. Real quick, let's just give a quick round of applause to BlockDown for all their incredible work. Yeah, seriously, it's been awesome. Yeah, I'm sure you've all had a great time. I mean, the weather is just phenomenal. You can't beat it. So with that, I'll give it up to our panelists, and let's give it up again. Woo!
Hi guys.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Alex, and let's introduce our speakers. Maybe you're going first?
Yeah. I'm Bertti, and I'm the business developer for NFTs at Sulake.
I'm Holly. I'm partnership manager for Sulake, for Habbo Hotel and Hotel Hideaway.
I'm Bruno. I'm the founder of Remark, an NFT 2.0 standard in the Polkadot ecosystem and wider now.
Awesome, thank you so much. Let's talk about how businesses are entering the metaverse and what it's really bringing in terms of benefits for the business itself. Maybe you can start?
Sure. Yeah, so a little background, I guess, about Habbo. Habbo is a Web 2 virtual social world. And we've been around actually since the year 2000, so about 1 million years ago. And the idea of the metaverse isn't really new to us because it's something that we've been doing and building since 2000. And so we've actually been bringing brands into our metaverse or our virtual social world since 2000, and we've had everyone from Coca-Cola to McDonald's to musical artists like Ozzy Osbourne, Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga, in no particular order. And yeah, so it's kind of this world where it's really open to, people are really open to being marketed to in a way that I think is unique. And yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, I could add, so we have been migrating to Web3 for the, well, yeah, we did our first drop it was in October last year, and since then we have been just adding utility to our NFTs and yeah, and we are doing the same thing right now as we speak.
Yeah, we've already accomplished a lot on our roadmap. Like Pertti said, in October, we had 11,600 NFTs that we sold out in 24 hours. They're avatars, and actually, even though our game is still in Web 2, we have all of our avatars are fully integrated into the game, so you can connect your MetaMask wallet and play with your avatar in the old Habbo Hotel. And recently, we also announced that we are going to be opening Habbo X in Q3 of this year, and that's going to be the fully blockchain version of Habbo.
All right, that's really cool. I'll have to learn more about this. This is a really compatible thing with what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for us, we are mainly seeing right now in our pre-metaverse phase lots of interest from I don't know if you could call it music brands, but you can, I guess, in a way, because of the composability aspect and the evolvability of these NFTs. There's not so much interest yet in the metaverse side of things on our end from actual brands. There is some, but since we don't have the universe built out yet, we don't really have actual brands in it. However, we do have inquiries, and we do have business cases that we've successfully presented, like community-based management of virtual real estate, where you can actually tokenize a piece of virtual real estate, whether that's a billboard or a piece of land or something. And as the community owns the virtual real estate, these brands have to compete for the, they have to compete to charm these token holders, these shareholders, into putting their stuff onto this virtual real estate. And this is actually seeing a lot of traction, and a lot of stuff is being built to support this infrastructure in a fully decentralized way. And this is like, what's most exciting about this is that once it's live, it can't not be live anymore. It's fully on-chain. It's fully in the NFTs themselves. And this is what we're seeing significant interest and adoption.
Yeah. So Bruno, what are your picks or your recommendations about the incentivization for, for example, for music brands to get into this stuff?
There's a strangely high amount of interest from music artists and their publishers for remixes, for community-based remixes, where the community can remix a song using specially minted stems that you can equip into the songs to make modifications to them, mint those as new songs, and distribute the royalties to the original artist and to everybody who contributed based on their stems and their contributions. And with enough let's call them upvotes from the community, approvals from the community, from these shareholders of this project, the music actually kind of gets canonized in a way and gets added to the official catalog of the original artist. And so this is something that we're seeing a lot of interest for, curiously enough.
Yeah, that sounds very fascinating. And yeah, composability is, it's needed there.
Yeah, we're also getting a lot of inquiries where we have, since we have this mixed media equipable and nested NFTs. So the use case that I mentioned yesterday was, if you have a music NFT, you can make it equipable into something that is not just the music NFT's parent collection. You can make it equipable in a piece of virtual real estate. And so when you enter with the avatar into that room, land, cave, whatever, that will play as background music. And so your music becomes part of something much greater than what you originally built. And so this is also seeing a lot of interest.
Yeah, is this part of the NFT in an NFT kind of approach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's built into the standard, so it's...
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the way that we've sort of seen it is a little bit different, just because, so we're more of like a game, and we've had, so a lot of artists are gamers also, or they played Habbo, or they played other games that were similar, and so we've actually seen a lot of interest from artists in collaborating and integrating themselves into Habbo X, and to building this sort of experience that's based on their music or whatever they're releasing, or just their aesthetic. And I think there's just so much potential in Web3 for artists and their brand, and also, like as Bruno said, with just being able to sort of monetize and track their music and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. How is the Metaverse game changing the engagement between you as a business or company and your clients or users, for example?
Are you asking somebody specific?
No, just
No.
whoever.
Well, in our case, we really care about no compromise decentralization. And in that regard, we really want to put the focus on the user in terms of them being able to own their experience. So anything you do in the metaverse, every time you log out with a slightly more valuable NFT because your NFT evolves, its experience evolves with you. Because of this NFT infrastructure, you can do things that we're used to from traditional games, like if you have an NFT and that NFT contains a non-transferable NFT that you cannot move out, then kind of new doors open. If you have a brain NFT in an NFT avatar, that brain can have, for example, 2 skill slots. And as you progress through the game, you can collect these skills, but you can only equip 2 of them. And so you have to pick before like a period of rest which skills are going to be active the next work period or something. And you can level up your character to get more of these skill slots. And it's all on-chain, it's all in the NFTs because NFTs can contain each other and interact with each other this way. But it also benefits the user in that if this metaverse dies, which it shouldn't because it's also on a decentralized backend, but if it somehow stops working or the user loses interest, when they take their avatar out of the game, they take all of their experience with them. Nothing is stuck on the server, and nothing goes down with it. So it's kind of, we're focusing on that, and we think that through that, and through that longevity of NFTs that is the result of this, brands will find it very appealing. Like if Coca-Cola launches a hat through something that we've built, that hat is never going away. And that hat can in the future be made compatible very easily with any future collection that comes out, with any future metaverse or game or whatever, simply because it is contained inside of that NFT. So I think this is the kind of a big selling point there, for us at least.
Yeah, awesome, thank you.
I mean, just to piggyback off of that, I think you touched on this a lot. Like, for us, it's really about digital asset ownership. And so, whereas before, for example, in Habbo, if you had like these rare furniture, we call them, and you forgot your password, or you got hacked, or you stopped playing and then you went back and it was gone, that was it. You didn't have it anymore. So what we have envisioned for Habbo X is that because we can use the blockchain and NFTs to really create digital asset ownership, you'll never lose the things that you earned or that you purchased. They'll always live in your wallet. And so that's a really unique use case, I think, for the blockchain. And yeah, and it's same with brands. Like in the past, if a brand does a partnership in a game, there's a limitation on the time. So we haven't like fully fleshed out what we're going to be doing with Habbo X, but it is there, at least in general in the blockchain, there is the potential for these sort of branded collaborations to stick around for longer. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably I could add that we are also seeking and researching about the key management. That's a huge issue still. You mentioned about Holly. You mentioned about the losing those passwords and seed phrases, and I mean I think that's still a huge burden.
Well, yeah.
In this scene, and
Yeah.
there are some new standards which are being developed right now, and we're looking at them as well.
Definitely. I mean, for sure, the UX journey in connecting your MetaMask wallet and having your seed phrase and your ledger and your cold wallet, your hot wallet, there's a lot going on, and we haven't really, as a community, I mean, the NFT world really hasn't sort of infused that in a way that the journey is really simple for mass adaptation. But at the same time, what we are seeing as a gaming company, as owners of these games, is that they're outside of our game. The decisions that we make as a company will not affect our NFT holders. So for us, that's digital asset ownership, and the rest of it, obviously, we are all working together to build a better sort of journey in terms of integrations. Yeah.
Nice. How does marketing change? Because I guess marketing in the metaverse can look very different
Yeah, absolutely.
from what we are experiencing right now.
I mean, to be honest, we've always used a more organic approach to marketing, and I think that actually does translate really well to Web3 because people don't really want to be, they don't want like product placement like thrown in their face, and yeah, I mean, for marketing our game, we rely on word of mouth a lot. But also on partnerships and collaborations, which we have upcoming, quite a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically there are these two main channels where the users are, Discord and Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the fact. Yeah.
But it's also sometimes a challenge, I think, to create organic engagement because you don't want to have like a bot-run channel where like all of your Twitter followers, maybe you have like 300,000 Twitter followers, and the engagement is so low that it doesn't make your product look authentic or the engagement authentic. So it's a hard balance because you want everything to be really organic, but it can also take time to grow organically, and yeah.
Exactly the same situation here, and boy, is it hard.
It's hard.
Yeah, no other comments. It's super hard.
Yeah.
You want to grow organically because that's the highest conversion rate. You get dedication and loyalty, and you get a very strong community that recognizes the value and is not just there for the flip.
Exactly.
But yeah, the ones that are there for the flip, they're going to be in your ear all the time, like when marketing, when shilling, when will you pay this influencer or that influencer to post about you.
100%.
So yeah, organic is the way.
It definitely can be frustrating because it's a little bit challenging, or very challenging. But I think we'll start to see as this space evolves and as we grow, as the community grows, we're going to see that people are going to stop looking so much at the people who stick around, who are going to stick out through the bear markets and stuff, are going to see that there's that it doesn't really matter as much like the following size or whether you're collaborated with influencers, but like your longevity and the engagement and the fact that you've actually delivered on your roadmap and the promises that you made to your community, which is something that a lot of projects haven't done yet or haven't been able to do or have, as we've seen with a lot of rug pulls, had no intention of doing. So, yeah.
Sorry. Okay, nice. What other difficulties are you facing as a team? Oh, I'm sorry, I need
You okay?
to cough again. Super sorry, please.
No worries.
Now. Okay, what kind of difficulties are you facing as a team? Because I can guess, as an early mover, it's always a bit more difficult to assemble a team that is really able to produce what your vision is all about. And I guess I see that be in crypto all the time because we're one of the early in crypto magazines. And together like a team that is really capable of producing what we want to see out there, and we already have the responsibility to shape the future of ourselves, of course, of our children, anyone. And I guess it's the same for you guys. How is your teamwork changing regarding building Metaverse products or anything?
Yeah, the skill sets. Well, first of all, I would just highly suggest that people are skin in the game. The skin in the game that has to be there. Just doing different kind of experiences with the NFTs, with cryptos, with the Web3 stuff, and because I think the learning experience is there, and yeah, of course, besides that, other than that, there are some personal attributes which each of the members should have, but I think that's But yeah, skin in the game. That's my first response for this.
And maybe the way that we work also is a little bit different because we are a 22-year-old product. So we already have a team that's been dedicated to working on this product, to building it, to creating the art, and have put like their heart and soul into it. So they actually do kind of have that skin in the game already. And then on top of that, we've because we're working on this Habbo, the old Habbo hotel, which is still going to be around, and we're still improving it every day, and that's a big part of our focus. We've had to build a team that can also work on Habbo X, and so a lot of actually our team has come from people who are who were or are a part of the Habbo community, and so I think that that's a big part of the success of it, because they know what they enjoyed as a child or as an adult, and they have that vision still, and they're now kind of able to make an impact on it and to build the future of a game that is really dear to them. So, yeah.
Yeah, having people who have pre-drunk the Kool-Aid is really valuable.
Yeah.
In our case, that's probably the biggest problem, because we wanted to build cool things that no NFT project can do, but there was no infra on which to build this. And so we built the infra. So Remark is the infra for this. And now we build cool stuff on top of this. Our Skybridge thing is one of those cool things, but just one of them. And but when you build an infra that is this complicated and hard to explain, it's just the onboarding process of new people takes like 3 months before they become useful. And then you find out if they're useful. So it's very, very difficult. And having somebody who's in this from the beginning, who understands it, who's passionate about it, is so much more valuable than throwing money at developers who are just mercenaries. So it really pays when people understand it, and then the mythical 10x developers are not those that develop fast in this world. They're those that understand fast, because they can deliver things that maybe you haven't even thought of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity towards these things and matters, and I think I would say it's more like a philosophical kind of thing about what is, at least for Web3, is for me, and the mindset. People should have that.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps a lot.
Indeed.
Yeah. And what about regulation? Because innovation is always coming with new regulations, and sometimes I see that governments don't really get the idea behind what we are building, so they regulate stuff, but they are producing difficulties for us to really forward and this kind of innovation. How is this going for you?
Well, especially for us, because Azerion is our parent company, and Sulake, which is one company under that. So all the legislation stuff, it's very crucial. We have to think about these things a lot more than the projects which are just doing everything from the scratch, so to speak. And we have, how could I say, like, more to lose. Well, this is kind of a subjective thing, but yeah. But yeah, we are pushing a lot for in our legal affairs with all the stuff related to that, and
Yeah.
but probably we are more like cautious than those Web3 native projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to be a lot more cautious, but I think in a way, the way that we're cautious is also to help our users, because I mean, we've already seen the early 2000s were kind of like the Wild West of the internet, and we're now seeing like the Wild West of Web3. So we try to stay a few steps ahead of that, a few steps ahead of we try to think about the regulations and how we see this in the future, how we see digital asset ownership evolving, and we try to work all the time on making sure that our users are protected, and we're always thinking of new ways that we can help them protect their assets and things like that.
Yeah, we don't really... education about basic OPSEC hygiene and financial hygiene is incredibly important, so that you help people prevent losses. And that is something that we will never be able to handle with regulation. It's just going to be more and more harmful as more and more regulation comes in, so I don't have a solution to that. But in terms of other aspects, so this is why decentralization is paramount to our project, and with Skybridge, as we build it as an open metaverse on decentralized infrastructure, we plan to be completely hands-off in 2 years, so that the community can take over and vote in upgrades in a decentralized way directly on-chain, and so that we don't have to touch anything. And if we just release this as a kind of technological beast that others can harness, and we are hands-off, then there's no regulation to worry about. And this is kind of the ultimate, wet dream of every DAO and project and Web3 project, that they can just release something cool that nobody can stop. This is also the idea behind the CypherMod SDK, which we're going to be building out to plug into everything. And I just learned about HuboX, which, all right, new target added for integration. So we want a toolkit that will enable anybody at any point in time to build a visual interaction space with other uniquely provable humans and keep that experience without anybody being able to stop this through censorship or downtime. And if we deliver this toolkit so that others can, maximize civil disobedience through denying regulators the ability to stop them, then I will be very happy, because that's my personal goal, to just deliver infrastructure on which people can build freely.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. How could this work, like in 5 years, for example, for your project? What is your goal in this, and where could this lead you in terms of creativity? Because I guess the metaverse is giving us not only responsibility, but a lot of new ideas and possibilities.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe in our case it's a bit different and unique in that we are an existing product, and we have a brand that is beloved by a lot of people, and we have standards of that and standards for our community. But with that said, we've always been about creativity, and we only see like Web3 and the blockchain as being able to maximize that creativity from our user base, and yeah. So I guess maybe, I think Pertti and I had talked about this earlier, where we see ours as kind of like this. We want it to be decentralized, of course, and it is, but then with the elements of centralization, like that the game is constantly being developed, and we have devs who are working to solve problems and tech fixes and stuff like that, but also giving our community more say, and yeah, is that?
Yeah. In our case, the term decentralization, well, we have some centralized points still there, and we are improving. And yeah, I think this is also something that I would advise for the current Web 2 players, that they can migrate in Web 3, and the whole decentralization thing can be achieved gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Progressive decentralization is a great idea, but often the tech debt becomes too big to actually do it, and frequently it's a problem. Like when you have current metaverses are not metaverses; they're just multiplayer games that replaced usernames and passwords with reading an NFT balance, and they're running on a centralized server. And as vampire attacks inevitably happen, as new games come out and siphon off your players, or all of these in-game rewards dry up and so on, these servers become incredibly expensive to maintain for no reason. And so they will go down, and as they go down and the team loses money, they simply run out of time to decentralize. So that is the key problem I see with the current metaverse ecosystem, where they will simply die just due to like pure attrition. They will just not have, like, there are very few actual users of Web3. If you make those metaverses really difficult to enter in a very adversarial environment, like gamers really aren't really sold on the Web3 vision yet, and gamers are basically the only community that can comfortably navigate a 3D environment with WASD navigation and so on. So you're kind of boxing a whole community out of your potential project, and then also running it on expensive infra. So this is not a recipe for success, in my opinion. The hyper-casual nature of Habbo Hotel-like implementations is also one we're following. Habbo screenshots were the inspiration behind our Skybridge thing, so it's all in the deck. And this is, I think, very important, but it's also very important to keep it highly decentralized and let the community take it wherever they may take it. I mean, that's our experiment. It's probably not a very smart one, and it can devolve into chaos. The community can vote anything into the game, and anything really means anything, so they can just destroy it completely if they choose to. But it can also be the most wonderful thing ever, and eventually evolve into it. we care about delivering the infrastructure, but whatever other people will build on top of it, we're just excited to see it. And there's like, games will need different services like lore and good writing. And so for that reason, we're also forming some lore DAOs where you can actually request, there's an open request for lore, and then there you have these lore masters who will write stuff for you, and when you have enough votes, your lore will be canonized into the game. And so it can be like a community evolved universe of games and everything. But the infrastructure being decentralized is, I think, most important here for a long-term success of a metaverse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess to answer that, well, I think we have sort of a unique advantage in that we have a really large and healthy community. We have around between 700 and 800,000 monthly active users in the Web2 game. And we have been able to sort of educate and onboard a lot of those users into the Web3 space, or at least gain interest in the NFTs. And we only see that interest growing every day. Especially because at the beginning, I'm sure everybody here who has an NFT project and has tried to sort of onboard non-Web3 natives into it has gotten some resistance in terms of like, is it bad for the environment? And just there's a lot of hype around NFTs with like being overpriced JPEGs. So yeah, in the beginning we obviously had some of that, but over time we've noticed that a lot more people are really interested in what we're doing in Habbo X, and so we've kind of, those conversations about that have kind of stopped, especially also because we use Offsetra. We used Offsetra for our mint, so we had no, we were carbon negative. And then now we work with Immutable X, so we're using a carbon neutral protocol. And so yeah, we've seen our community growing in a way that maybe, even though we are still going to have parts that are centralized and parts that are decentralized, we are still seeing a lot of growth and organic growth in a way that maybe other projects might not.
What does the average user looks like? Do you have the chance to onboard new users as well? And
so at the moment, since we don't have our Habbo X yet, that'll come in Q3, we're sort of building what that's going to look like in terms of onboarding. Right now, all of the onboarding has just been organic, and obviously we have to help people a lot to understand how to protect their digital assets, to understand what the value of their assets is, a ledger, and things like that. But yeah, moving forward, it's a big thing that we have to tackle, is how do we onboard these users, or how do we get like mass adaptation from the mass market? Because ultimately, the mass market is where you're going to find the majority of your community and your customers. And so that's a thing that we're really working on. And a lot of that is about storytelling, in my opinion, and making Web3 more accessible to people, I think means kind of eliminating a lot of the jargon that we use. So most people don't know what like an ERC20 is, or what the blockchain is, or what a fungible token is. So just talking about it in really basic layman's terms makes so much more sense, I think, universally speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, for us, our users are mostly either gas refugees from Ethereum, or people who really who are drawn to NFTs doing more. So as they discover that they can make a PFP collection that has interchangeable accessories, that already is cool. But then they find out that they can make the accessories compatible with any other collection, and then they realize that, all right, this is nuts, because my accessory can have an increasing rarity the more collections it's compatible with. There's people who want to try out the composable music, the filtering. There's experiments with multi-layer videos being made that are, NFT bases that you equip stuff into. And then there's usage in gaming. There are some choose-your-own-adventure games being developed and in action right now in production, where you actually equip your character and take it on quests and so on. It's all on chain. It's all in the NFTs themselves. And I think we're providing a really good infrastructure for these creatives to finally take things all the way without needing, you know, $1 million a year strong Solidity developer team. Like they can just go there to our platform, mint this stuff, experiment with it, with much less technical barrier than they would encounter on any other blockchain. So I think that our community are mostly like non-technical to maybe semi-technical people who really just want to do different things. They're sick of the just static image things, and they just really want to experiment. And so the interest that we're seeing for integration of these various collections, now that they know that it's all mutually compatible, for integrating them into the metaverses that will be launching with the CipherMod framework or just into Skybridge, is immense. Like everybody wants their stuff to be added in, and our response is like, go for it, propose it, but it's up to the world governance of that metaverse that's decentralized to vote that in. So this is like, people who really care about interoperability and cross-collection compatibility, these are our main audience. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah.
We are almost at the end of this talk. Is there any question from the audience?
Hey, I'm Vicky from bots.io. We are doing crypto automatic trading. I have some questions about acquiring new users. You mentioned about that you mostly have your user flow from organic. And yeah, I wonder, you talk about like from mouth, like people telling each other, but then you also mentioned about 700, 800K of monthly active users. That is also quite healthy traffic amount, I would say. What is your best practice about gaining organic traffic, let's say? And I also wonder what is, you talk about educational materials. What do you guys do with those educational things in the community?
Yeah. Well, actually, so the 800,000 monthly active we have built kind of over 22 years. So really, actually, we have about 315 million registered users. And the way that used to look was was less organic. I mean, it was organic in the sense that we didn't really have competitors, and so the traffic we had was coming from everywhere. And yeah, we actually used to do like TV commercials and stuff like that. And now a lot of it comes from nostalgia, I think. And so usually I track sometimes like tweets and stuff. And if like a celebrity or an influencer tweets about Habbo, we start to see an influx of people coming back or tweeting about it and being like, oh my God, Habbo, I can't believe it still exists. And then they come back. So we have a lot of, that's kind of how our word of mouth works. But again, it's sort of, that's a unique and maybe not very helpful for other brands in terms of building. And in terms of education, we do most of that through Discord. But if you used to play Habbo, we did these things called info bus sessions. So we have like an actual virtual bus, and the users can come in there and like learn about a topic. So we've had, actually in the past, we had like the United Nations did something, different vaccine campaigns from different countries, just anti-bullying campaigns and things like that, and the users can come in and learn. So that's something that we're working on, because we're going to have to start doing that more focused around Web3, especially as we really move into that outside of just the NFTs, outside of just the avatars. And so it could look something like that, potentially. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, even more so than education, it is about storytelling and like, how do you explain this to people? You don't need to use this like really jargon-heavy language, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really facilitate, I think, the learning or the onboarding in the same way that we as people who are like natives in this space, or at least have a lot of understanding of it, would think. And so, yeah, I mean, the space itself is not as complicated to understand as people think it is, and I think that the language makes it really unapproachable. And so just changing the language, I think, is a huge way that we can educate people about it and get them there.
Right, thank you.
Another one? Oh,
I am
sorry.
Steph. I actually just showed you guys yesterday the dragon. You remember? The equipable and unequipable dragon. Yeah, they are actually based on the Remax standard. So, how do you think you can like partnership together, or how you can like use it in your platform?
All
Yeah,
right.
how do we get the dragons into Habbo X?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. So right now we are going to be announcing a lot of partnerships soon. Things take a little bit of time with us because again we're a company, so we think things take like it's a legal process. But now that we kind of have gone through the motions of it, we have a template and it's going to go a lot faster. But right now at the moment, since we're only able to support Habbo NFT avatars in our Web 2 game, we are focusing on these on large healthy communities or even smaller niche communities that we feel the values align with ours, and we're creating sort of like digital wearables that can be unlocked with like if they connect their MetaMask wallet to the game. And so right now, because we're on the Ethereum blockchain, we have really just been focusing on Ethereum-based projects, but in the future, we hope to make it fully interoperable and be able to use more.
That's where we are aiming at, and
Yeah.
we have been following Remark, and I'm a personal fan of .sum projects and all the stuff there. So
Well, our newest EVM contract that is useful for multi-resource NFTs that can make NFTs be multiple things at once, that is absolutely essential for werewolves, is getting into EIP next week. So you will be able to use it on EVM as well, including Ethereum. And it's a drop-in replacement for ERC 721. So I think we should talk.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
absolutely.
One more question. Thanks, y'all, for being here. I'm curious about hardware. So we saw a few years ago with like Pokemon Go, people playing games on their phone and walking around in the physical world catching digital Pokemon. And now we're seeing Oculus headsets and stuff like that. So with regards to building a metaverse and NFTs, how do y'all see hardware, physical hardware integration, and what does that look like in each of y'all's project and more generally?
Well, to speak about Habbo again, we're actually 2D, so we don't have like there wouldn't really be any use for an Oculus at this point, although I would like it. As we move and sort of like as we become more interoperable and we sort of have more partners, of course, like those things could be definitely considered. At the moment, though, like Habbo is mobile compatible and desktop compatible, so yeah.
Is Habbo in the browser or not?
It's a browser game. It's a browser game, but there's also a client that you can download and use. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, we focus on the same like hyper casual device nature of things. It's important that anybody can fire it up at any time, not have to sit down behind a computer and launch something, because people just don't do that anymore. You don't have time. You don't have the willpower when you do have time, and so it's
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. We're at the end of this talk.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.